Don Jorge,
Don Mario, ¿qué tal está guapo?
bien, bien,
Ay, ay, ay.
¿ok?
¿Todo bien?
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem muchas veces, todo lo digo todos los días.
Mhm.
¿Qué me cuentas?
Not too much.
Ah, ¿Cómo está el trabajo?
Con mucho, con mucho.
Tú trabajas todos los días.
Sí, pero trabajo mucho desde casa,
Ah, qué bueno.
porque desde COVID, porque yo realmente mi trabajo no es de oficina, es ir a edificios, deal with my maintenance guys y ir a
Para
los
darles,
edificios.
y
Ir a
darles
los
el
edificios.
servicio, tratado, lo que tienes que hacer y todo eso.
Tengo que ir a los edificios. Ups, ya está la gente acá. Hello.
Good evening, everybody. We are on Kuf. We're on Yud Beis 12.
You say, yeah.
Okay. We are dealing with the issue of Zilbasar Ruba, that we go after statistic rove. We're not talking about when you can count, you have 9 kosher butcher shops and 1 treif, and you find meat in front of, on the sidewalk. We go after rove, but that's a rove that's in front of us. We can count the rove. But for example, what is the percentage of boys that are going to grow up and not be sexually mature? It's a percentage. We don't know. We don't have the full population of 1,000 boys. We don't know. We haven't followed them for 30 years. It's a statistic. That's called a rov she'ena lekaman. That's not in front of us. But we brought about 10 proofs yesterday that we go after rov. Now, we said, what about Rav Meir, who is chayish lemiyuta? He is concerned even about a minority. So we said, anytime you shecht any animal, maybe there was a hole in the esophagus pre-shchita, and when you shechted it, the knife went right through that hole. So any animal that you shecht might have been treif. Now, the majority of animals will not have a hole in their esophagus, but a minority will. So the standard halacha, we don't go after, we're not chayish lemiyuta. But Rav Meir is chayish lemiyuta. So the question in Rav Meir is, how does he ever eat meat? And if you're going to say maybe Rav Meir didn't eat meat, Pesach the Kotshemaik Lememar. The Torah says shech the korban Pesach and eat it. Rav Meir can't get away from that. That sort of destroys his. But what are you going to tell me? When you can operate without statistics, you do that, and Rav Meir will tell you, try as much as you can to identify the facts. In a case like the Korban Pesach, where you cannot be sure, so Hakanami, where you can't fulfill the obligation without relying on this rove, sometimes you can't. And then you can rely on the rove. Even Reb Meir will say you can rely on the rove. A person watches somebody doing shchita. He's supervising him. If you watch him from the beginning to end, then you can eat from his shchita. That is, if you saw him, everything he did correctly. Now, if you didn't see him from beginning to end, then asur lachol meshchitaso. So the Gemara wants to know, Hechidami, what's the case? If the observer knows that the shchita has studied the laws of shchita and has been trained in shchita, then lamali ro, what did we need him to supervise anyways? If we know that he doesn't know the halacha, then pshita that if he didn't supervise the whole thing, of course it's not good. So what's the chiddush? He didn't know whether the shoichet had studied the laws or not. So you in a case where you didn't supervise the whole thing, you would not be able to eat from that shechita. However, the Gemara says, why not? It's like you see cardiac surgery being performed. Do you really think somebody that's not trained in cardiac surgery is going to be the guy who's doing that surgery? Means whoever's involved in cardiac surgery is a mumcha in cardiac surgery. It's the same thing in shechita. Someone's not going to shecht an animal if he doesn't know anything about it. So why don't we say at least the majority of people occupied in shechita are experts. And there's a brisa like that. Milo Tanya, Haresha Motzatana Gola Shchuta Bashuk. You find in the marketplace a chicken that was shechted. O Shamar L'shluchot Shchot. Or you tell a shaliach, go shecht my chicken. The halachu matzah shachut, and you go and find the chicken shechted. Cheskaso shachut. The chazaka is that the shechita is a good shechita. And why? Alma Amina Rav Mitzri, it's a shechita mumchinei. Anyone who's going to occupy himself with shechita is obviously an expert. Hachanami lema Rav Mitzri, it's a shechita mumchinei. So why again do we go back in Rav's halacha and say that you have to observe it from beginning to end? If he's doing the shechita, he must be a mumcha. So the Gemara now says the opposite. We know for sure he did not study the laws of shechita. And therefore, if it's not observed from the beginning to end, it's not good. We had seen him shecht one of the simonim, like the trachea. And then he did the other without supervision. Then we say that that's not good. Because Ma'od is saying Midahai Shapir. The svara could have been, well, he shechted the first simon okay, Hachnami Shapir. Then he probably did the other one okay too. Kamash Malan that no. Ha Isrami lay. It may have just been an accident that he shechted the first simon appropriately. But idich, Shemashah Shemadoris. Maybe he delayed, maybe he pressed too hard. So you've got to observe it from beginning to end. Boy mine Rav Dimi bar Yosef Rav Nachman. However, l'shluchot seushchot. You tell your shaliach go out and shecht. V'halachu matzah shachot. You find the animal was shechted. Mao. Do we assume that the shechita is a good shechita? Amr lo cheskasur shachot. Yeah. The halach is that the chazaka is that it's a good shechita. Ha'omer l'shluchot seu trom. He sends a shliach out to his field to take truma from his produce. V'halachu matzah toram. Then he finds that there was truma separated. My. Amr lo ein cheskasur toram. We don't assume that the truma was set aside properly. Now, what's the difference? So, if we follow the general rule that a shaliach will go ahead and follow the orders that were given to him, then just like you say, the shechita works. I feel it trumanami. If we don't have this presumption that a shliach will carry out exactly what his orders are, I feel shechita namilo. Then why do we say that the shechita is okay? I want you to pay me a certain measure of salt, and I will explain to you why I paskin the way I did. We can't rely on the presumption that a shliach will do every 100% of what he's told to do. Shchita. Now, why do we assume that the shechita was a good shechita? Inami de dilma inish achvina shama v'azol v'shachat. Maybe another person had heard the instructions to the shaliach, and it wasn't the shaliach who did it, but it was the other person But we've already said rov mitzvah shchita mumchanei. More than 51% of people who are occupied in shchita are experts. But truma, maybe it was not the shaliach who went. Somebody overheard, went and did the truma. But that's without the das of the owner. So truma is a special din in truma. Now, this proposition that the majority of people involved in shechita are experts, otherwise they wouldn't be involved in it. Let us say it's machlokes tanoi. The Tanya. Person misplaced one of his goats or his chicken. And he found them shechted. Rabbi Yehuda Oyser. Rabbi Yehuda said it's forbidden, the meat. Rabbi nearing Dvorim Shel Rabbi Yehuda Shemotzim Ba'ashpa. If the case of Rabbi Yehuda who prohibits is a case where the chicken or the goat was found in a garbage dump. Obviously, the shoichet knew that he made a mistake. He threw it in the garbage dump. That's why you can't eat it. But Rav Chanina, who said you can't eat it, he found it in the house because it must have been a good shechita. And my lav b'hakamiflagi. This, in fact, is the machlokas between Rav Yehuda and Rav Yosef Glili. The Mar Savar Rav Chanina holds, Rav Mitzvah Shechita Mumchanei. If a person is going to get involved in shechita, we can assume that he's an expert. And therefore, if it's in the house and not thrown away, we don't know for sure who slaughtered it, but whoever slaughtered it must have been an expert because it wasn't thrown away. Umar Savar, lo amina Rav Mitzvah Shechita Mumchanei. But Rav Yehuda says no, we don't rely on that. So when we don't know who slaughtered it, it's prohibited. However, Rav Nachman Yitzchak says no. Really, everybody agrees of this principle that if a person is going to get involved in shechita, he's an expert. And everybody holds that if the chicken is found in the house, you can eat it. Nobody argues with that. There was a public garbage dump next to the local market where everybody dumped their bad stuff. So there everybody holds that if you found it there, it's prohibited. Your backyard garbage dump behind your house. Now, a nevela cannot be eaten. And it's going to sit around and smell. So people might not throw their nevela meat in their own personal backyard. It's going to smell. So therefore, if you find it there, he's still going to throw it there. And therefore, if you found a shechted chicken, he doesn't care about the smell. So if you found a shechted chicken in a backyard dump, that would be prohibited. Umar he's not going to throw it there because it's going to smell. So there, you would assume that it was slaughtered correctly. Amar Rebbe, near and Rabbi Yehuda shematzon ba'ashpa. I understand Rabbi Yehuda who answered when you find it in a dump. Now, my ashpa, what kind of garbage dump? Ilema ashpa shebeshuk, but in the public market, everybody agrees that it's prohibited. And you must be talking about the local, a garbage dump behind your house. However, Seifa. He agrees with Rabbi Chanina Benosh Rabbi Yosef Glili Shematzum b'bayis that it's permitted. Now, my bias, if you mean the house itself, everyone agrees that it's okay in the house itself. And this seems to be a contradictory kasha to Rebbe out of Rebbe. So hachi kama. Near and div Rabbi Yehuda Rav Chanina b'noish Rabbi Yosef Glili b'ashpash b'shuk. Rabbi Yehuda appears to be the right shot, even according to Rav Chanina. When you find a chicken that was shechted in the big public dump, because everybody will hold you, throw your nevela there. He's only arguing in a private garbage dump behind the house, because there people might put their properly shechted chicken there. But in the public marketplace, certainly he would agree. So there's no machlokes in Rebbe. Then the Mishnah said, "Chutz micheres shoytev v'katan sham yikaklu shchitas." Hakol shoychtin, everybody can shecht except for a deaf mute, somebody who's lost his mind, and a minor, because they might damage the shchita. So, but the word yikalkalu is future tense. It should be past tense. Shema kulkalu loktani, as shema yikalkalu. Why? The Mishnah talked about you're not allowed to shecht kotshim, but Rava says you're not allowed to give them even chulin, because, and even if it's supervised, because they may damage it. It's only after the fact, not lechatchila, but if after the fact it was supervised, we would say it's okay. Kulan sheshachtu, after the fact, v'acherem roino is from shchitas and kshem. Now, these cheres shoytev v'katan have no das, so they're not having any kavana. And we said, though, if after the fact somebody supervised them, it's okay. Obviously, this Tana must hold you don't need kavana for shchita. Man Tana de lo bin in kavana l'shchita. Rav Nosani. The Tana Yosha Zirdim in Chavre. Zarak Sakin, a person was throwing knives against the wall. And as the knife was thrown, the knife cut the throat of one of the animals. And we check, and the simonim were shechted properly. Rav Nosson Machshir. He had no kavana to shecht. He doesn't need kavana. The Chachamim poisli. Who tarni levu amar law? Halacha like Rav Nosson. And the halacha is like Rav Nosson. We talked about when you shecht, you have to do it, you have to have come and go. It's not just one cut. You have to sort of slice it, go and come. And if a knife is flying against the wall, it's only going in one direction. So the Gemara says, Shahalcha uba kedarka. No, it bounced off the wall and came back and shechted in the other direction. And when we check it, and it's okay, it worked out. Cotton yesh l'machshava or ein l'machshava. When a cotton has a machshava, does that have halachic validity or not? First asked about whether a cotton's maisa has halachic significance. Why didn't you act about maisa? Did none, because the Mishnah says yeshla and maisa. There's a clear Mishnah that says they do have maisa. So machshava nami lo to boile, ditnan ein and machshava. There is a Mishnah that says that clearly it says that they don't have machshava. Where are these Mishnahs? Ditnan. Ha elon varimon vaegos. The acorn, the pomegranate, the walnut. Shechaka kum tinoikes lomad ben afar. The child removed the nut from inside the walnut and wanted to use the walnut to measure sand. Or he was building a scale. And he wanted to use these as the two sides of the scale. So the din is tmein. Right? If a person fashions a kli, his maisa has legal significance. So if a minor does a maisa and turns it into a kli, it has the status of a kli. And the Mishnah says, Mibnei sheyesh le'en maisa. Whatever his machshava might have been, his maisa is a real maisa. And his Maisa here shows that he had some kind of intent to make it into a Kli. That's enough. So we have a Mishnah that says that a minor's Maisa has halachic validity. But but their thought does not. So the Gemara will have to analyze. We'll do that tomorrow. Tonight, 8:00, Surba.
Turba.
Tomorrow, 7:00, Daf Yomi.
Okay. Uh,
Did you get the next chilek on the super? Did it come yet?
Not come yet, but I'll let everybody know when it comes.